Geez, I never thought I'd say this, but it's good to see you guys, man. You know, the win that this football team had yesterday, I think, shows you the resolve and the character of this football team. Divisional opponent on the road, hostile crowd, down 14 points twice. To come back and win that game on the last play, the play by Malcolm Jenkins, the goal line stand, Drew's 4 touchdown passes. Listen, I had nothing to do with that victory, except watch it on TV, but this football team, their resolve, their character, their togetherness, their accountability just continues to grow. I think Aaron Cromer did a phenomenal job of keeping this team together through some tough times. He's kept our staff together. We had a little bit of a rocky start, and you never know how the season's going to go because every season takes on a life of its own. But he's kept it together. He's kept our team together, and boy, our hats are off to Aaron. I saw Sean briefly after the San Diego game. We talked about family. I got to see Connor, his son, and that was the extent of it. And I got to see Mickey Loomis and sat with him in Mr. Benson's press box when Drew broke the record. Other than that, I'll take your questions.
What did you fill the void?
Excuse me?
What did you do to fill the void for 6 weeks?
There's nothing you can do to fill this void. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, my wife should be nominated for the Ed Block Courage Award. Listen, my wife is a great mother, and she's a great wife, but she really became a great friend to me over this time. And, you know, I did some work with the Semper Fi Fund with the Wounded Warriors. I was able to speak a couple times to my university, Towson University, especially before we played LSU. I spent time in La Plaza talking to the flood victims there, talking to Tulane's football team, so stayed as busy as I could for as long as I could. But I know I looked at my watch and the calendar a lot.
Joe, I remember at the end of the preseason game, your last game, you talked about how different this would be, how emotional it would be. As you watched games on TV, were you watching as a fan, as a coach? How much were you analyzing, knowing that you couldn't talk to the players? Were you breaking things down, evaluating over these last 6 weeks, taking notes, or were you just trying to sit back?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Because we're not with the team, and because I'm not a part of the team, and because I don't know what game plan's been put in, I can't anticipate the play calling. You know, I agonized. You know, it's hard to go through. I mean, I've been with these guys for, 7 years. I care very deeply, as Sean does, for this football team. And when you're not there on game day, win or lose, to be with the with guys that you respect and you love, it was a challenge.
Joe, having set out 6 games, you hear the feeling in your voice.
7 weeks.
7 weeks, I'm sorry. Hearing the feeling in your voice of how much you missed it. Does that make you appreciate a little bit more what Jonathan's going through? He's trying to basically save his career, fight the good fight, I guess?
I've never taken that for granted one time. You know, I've never taken for granted my stay in this league. I've never taken for granted how blessed I've been to be in this league and coach so many great players and coach with so many great coaches. It's good to be back.
Now that you are in charge, Denver represents a change, an altitude difference for
Right.
a lot of these guys not used to. Are you doing anything about that, maybe going early or especially having a walkthrough?
Well, you know, my suspension ended yesterday after the game. I got back here last night. We've worked through the night, kind of getting caught up on things. The theory is this: if you're going to take a team to Denver and play in high altitude, take them 2 weeks so that you can adjust. If you don't do it 2 weeks, you should do it within 24 hours. So we're mulling right now, potentially going out there Friday. We've done it before. Played them pretty good out there back in '08, and. But, you know, I was in that division for 10 years when I was with Seattle, and there's a lot of excuses you can find to lose a game, altitude being one of them. So we're going to have our best performance this week to beat a good football team.
You're playing a second straight road game against a team coming off a bye.
This is my first.
Well, the team is playing a second straight road game against a team coming off a bye. I know the NFL scheduling gods are not always fair. Is that an equitable situation, or something you have to deal with?
You're going to play the hand you dealt. We only got 16 of these things. So if we're a good football team, it doesn't matter who you play, when you play, where you play, and what time you play. We're going to prepare all this week to be the best team we can come Sunday night.
What's the process like to catch up to you? layman's terms, you're using cliff notes? Do you not worry as
What's a
much?
cliff note?
It's a college thing.
Go ahead.
Do you, how much do you pay attention to what happened in the previous 7 weeks? Or do you start?
I'm getting caught up on that right now. I've had no contact with any coaches, no players, nobody in the building. I've been able to talk to Mr. Benson, and that's a process that started for me about 9 o'clock last night, going from department to department. I've talked to every coach so far individually. I spent, like I said, probably about an hour and a half last night with Ryan Pace. Got caught up to speed. Met with Scotty and the doctors this morning. Got caught up to speed. Met with Aaron for about an hour. Got caught up to speed. Spags was just going to go in do a defensive meeting, so I probably spent about a half hour with him. I've spent about a half hour with Mr. Benson and Dennis Lausch. So, I mean, this process is going to continue for me the rest of the day to get caught up.
I know you're accustomed to handling a lot of information, so I know that part's not new, but how different is this, the amount of information you're able to handle? I mean, this is
Well, I don't think anybody's ever confused me with a rocket scientist, if that's what you're talking about. I mean, I'm going to take notes and see what the state of our football team is and meet with the staff this afternoon at 5 o'clock and move forward.
Do you, given the fact that you complimented Aaron for the job that he did, but you are 2-4, do you come in and do anything differently?
No,
or
our
change
program
things up?
is, listen, our program is set. Mickey and Sean started this program back in '06. Our practice schedule remains the same. Our teaching progression remains the same. Our meeting time remains the same. How we activate and deactivate players remains the same. All we're going to do is when we go back to work on Wednesday is work our butts off to get better. Ongoing skill development on a daily basis is critical to our football team. So no, I'm a spoke on the wheel here. That's all I am. I'm going to come in here and do the best job I can and try to compliment the coaches in our building for the job they've done.
Joe, what was your message to the Towson team? Was it before the game against LSU?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the simple message was this: the great opportunities in your life are only going to, the great times of your life and the great moments of your life only come from a great opportunity. And as a football team, this is the greatest opportunity you could have, playing one of the best elite college football programs in the country in their backyard. And you'll never get this time back again. And, you know, you're going to have family and friends that are going to be living vicariously through you, and give it the best you have. And I'll tell you, I was proud of them. I thought they played good, man.
Joe, what kind of emotions did you have yesterday when you met the team on coming home? I don't know if they knew or not that you were going to be there.
I mean, it's good. I mean, listen, I hadn't seen these guys in 7 weeks. You know, last time I saw them was the Sunday night before our opener against Washington for our captain's dinner, and I haven't seen them since. So, you know, I was glad to be back with them and glad to be back in the hunt.
You're inheriting a team that's given up a lot of yards, coming back to a team and a lot of points. How much does it mean? It's been down to coach, regardless of emotion and all that. It hasn't had you as a coach. How much do you feel like it's going to help the defense?
I'm going to do everything I can, like every coach on our staff and everybody in our building, to help get our football team better every day. And it's certainly not no miracle worker. I'm humbled to be back here. I met with Spags this morning. We know there's things that we can do better from a coaching standpoint, from a player standpoint, from a schematic standpoint. But I do think this now. I think Spags has done a good job with this defense. You don't make the plays in the goal line stance that you made yesterday unless those guys are fully committed. Played some tough 2-minute defense down the end. So I think there's a lot of positive things we can hang our hat on.
I don't know how much football you may have watched of other teams, but looking at Peyton Manning with the Broncos, does he still look like the same Peyton
Yes.
Manning of old?
Yes.
Just your general thoughts of him and what he's been able to do there.
Listen, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got the records and the numbers out there that warrant that. He's a football genius. He understands defenses. He understands alignments, pre-snap reads. When you talk about the skill level of quarterbacks, there needs to be 3 characteristics, and he's got all 3. He's tough, he's smart, and he's accurate. He's also one of those players, a lot like Drew, that makes other people around him accountable and makes other people around him better. So we're jumping right back into the fray here now because we're facing an elite quarterback that has mastered this system and knows how to win.
putting aside whether you feel you're innocent or not, is it awkward at all that you just finished serving a suspension for something that other players that you care a lot about, are in the process of appealing?
Why would I feel awkward?
Because what you went through.
No, the answer to your question is no. No, I don't feel awkward one bit.
what's the early prognosis on Jimmy Graham? And do you have any players like Ryan Clark who can't play in Denver because of sickle cell trait?
No. We have no players that will not play because of the sickle cell trait. We're going to test Jimmy Graham out Wednesday. Right now, we feel good about it, and we think he's got a pretty good chance of being full go.